Hey guys, welcome to Stefan Livera podcast, episode 14. My guest today is Jeff Gallas. Hey Jeff, thanks for coming on the show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Excellent. So Jeff, you work at, or you are the founder of Fulmo. So just to quickly intro Jeff to the listeners, Jeff is a founder of Fulmo, which is an enterprise based in Germany, in Berlin, in Germany. And Fulmo is dedicated to research and development of the Lightning Network and blockchain scaling. And he is also the lead organizer of Lightning Hack Day. And so he is a blockchain consultant, investor, and entrepreneur. He's been in the Bitcoin game since 2011, and he consults and runs workshops on Bitcoin. And I believe you're also the founding director of the German Bitcoin Foundation. So definitely a long and involved past with Bitcoin. Maybe you can open it up with your story on Bitcoin, Jeff.
Yeah, sure. As you correctly said, I think I discovered Bitcoin in 2011 when sort of, for me, one of the first waves of mainstream press covered Bitcoin. And I pretty much just read an article about it. And as you might have heard the story before from other people, for me, everything clicked together and it made a lot of sense. So I didn't stop reading about it and researching pretty much until today. And it's been a couple of years already, and I've done a couple of enterprises and projects, amongst them, as you said, the German Bitcoin Foundation or Association, which was also, or it still is, a pretty interesting adventure, if you will. But I'm not really doing anything for them anymore. It was early days, I would say.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, I think it's fascinating that the world we're moving into now, it's a Bitcoin-centric world. And someday down the line, we're going to need more developed infrastructure. And part of that is Lightning networks. So things like Lightning wallets, Lightning merchant applications, and the like to truly take us into that digital hard money Bitcoin standard age. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about Fulmo and what research you guys do.
Right. So I've been looking into the Lightning Network for, I don't know, 2 years now, ever since the Lightning Network paper came out
Yeah.
by Poon and Reiser. And just the beginning of this year, it kind of, for me, made sense to focus more on the Lightning Network, as it seemed to get more, well, not really mainstream ready, but at least better user friendly, I would say. So I just thought it would be a good time to jump right into it, and saw an opportunity to actually help this whole thing develop and thrive. So and it's not only about Lightning, but also about giving something back to Bitcoin and helping a broader Bitcoin adoption and development. So I founded a company for that, gathered a couple of people to help me. And we were coming to a point where it was like, this is really interesting. But if we're really honest, we don't really know a whole lot about it. And there's probably a lot of other people that feel a similar way. So we sat down and thought, like, what can we do about this? And it was kind of obvious that we were just going to do sort of a big meetup, invite a couple of people that could maybe teach us and just see where, and others as well, and just see where we stand as a community, as a technology. So we started a Lightning Hack Day in Berlin specifically because, well, that's just where we're based, which is, I guess, a little coincidental, but it's always been a good city to be in for Bitcoin and for crypto. And nowadays, I guess they call it blockchain as well. So there's quite a big ecosystem. And we already had a lot of early players in the Bitcoin space in Berlin. So for me, it also makes sense to have something like the Lightning Hack Day and Lightning development happening in Berlin at this time.
Cool,
So yeah,
cool.
that was pretty much the first project we did, and the first public project, just the Lightning Hack Day, as sort of a mix between an unconference and a hackathon. It's a pretty loose format, so in the beginning, it was pretty much just inviting a couple of friends and acquaintances and talking about the Lightning Network in some seemingly random fashion, which was surprisingly working quite well and also on a pretty high level because we had really interested and interesting participants right from the start.
Yeah, nice. Okay. And with Fulmo, I'm curious, is it does it sell consulting services to businesses, or how does it sustain itself from a funding point of view?
For now, it's mostly bootstrapped. I would say we're trying to make it a business as well. And that's also one of the reasons we started with the Lightning Hack Days, just to see what business opportunities there are and to reach out to the community, but also more traditional businesses or sort of businesses that are active in the crypto and Bitcoin field. So we do have like some consulting gigs, mostly for explaining Lightning Network and maybe helping installing some service setup like C Lightning or LND, for example, and just helping people like kind of get a foot into the ecosystem or like taking a shortcut into understanding Lightning. And that might become something, but for now it's pretty experimental and it's not really a big business yet. But we're also still early days, so pretty much we set aside a little money and we use that money to find out to sort of put on some boots, be able to afford some boots and walk the way comfortably without really knowing where we're headed yet. So it's pretty experimental.
Yeah, okay.
That's why I call it research startup. We do have good people and good knowledge and a good network by now. It's just not yet totally clear how this is all going to come together and how this is all going to make a profitable business.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. So, who are some of the Bitcoin and Lightning companies and implementations that you're working with? So, you mentioned C Lightning and LND. So, I presume you're working with Blockstream and with Lightning Labs.
Yeah. Well, we've by now pretty much in. So, you mean working with for the sort of implementation part, or just in general?
Yeah, in both ways.
Okay. Well, the main implementations that are usable right now are pretty much C Lightning by Blockstream, LND by Lightning Labs, and also Eclair by ACINQ from Paris. And we are for now using C Lightning and LND. For the consulting side, because it's partly more server oriented, is we've been using C Lightning, but we also out of the Lightning Hack Day came a really good and by now relatively big side project. I can talk about that a little more in detail later. It's called the Raspiblitz, and it's basically a Bitcoin and Lightning Network full node running on a Raspberry Pi, and that is using LND by Lightning Labs.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, I think I saw that on the website. That'd be a good one to look into as well. Okay. And who are, I understand you guys have some speakers who come and speak as well. Who are some of the speakers and attendees at the Lightning Hack Days?
Yeah, so following up on your previous question, in general, we are sort of implementation agnostic. So for the Lightning Hack Day, we try to offer a platform and try to invite as many people as possible from as many companies and implementations as possible. So we pretty much talk to all the implementations, and we're really lucky that we're getting representatives of all the different implementations. So for the next Lightning Hack Day, which is happening on September 1st in Berlin, we have Christian Decker from Blockstream, Fabrice Durand from ACINQ, Johan Halsut, Lightning Labs, but we also have Kenichi Kuromoto. He's from Japan and working for Nayuta. He's actually the CEO of Nayuta, which is a different Lightning implementation. And also there's Electrum, which is the Electrum Bitcoin wallet, and they're doing their own Lightning implementation written in Python. So we pretty much have 5 Lightning or Vault compliant implementations coming to Lightning Hack Day. And Besides that, we have some other bigger projects that have been gaining some traction, like the RGB project by Giacomo Zucco, who's also coming. They are sort of extending the Lightning Network beyond just financial transactions and enabling pretty much tokens on the Lightning Network, which people jokingly say it kind of enables ICOs on the Lightning Network.
Very nice. Well, that's how you can fund yourself, Chef.
Yeah, well, maybe, but I don't really want to do like what I said. I try to be honest about it, and I guess we could do some proper marketing and try to sell some shit coins, but I still want to be able to look in the mirror in 5 years and not be afraid that some disgruntled investor hits me on the street. So I think that's not an avenue for us right now. but still,
wise decision.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay. I'm pretty lucky. We have other people, and the concept of the Lightning Hack Day itself is that it's not really a conference. So all the speakers, I said, is because they are sort of high level and they are for now defining the Lightning Network. We put them on the schedule as proper speakers, also for people to have a feeling like about who's coming. But most of the Lightning Hack Day is designed as a bar camp or an unconference where all the participants can be speakers as well. So we have a sort of opening session in the morning where everybody gathers and just presents their ideas and what they want to do. And we kind of create the schedule based on their ideas or what they bring. They want, if somebody wants to do a demo or a workshop or just have an open discussion about a certain issue, all of course relating to the Lightning Network, then we'll schedule these sessions, and this is what takes most of the time of the participants and also brings the highest outcome, because this is really something. Imagine going to university, but instead of just going to a lecture you have to attend, you can actually go to a lecture that is precisely tailored after your specific needs, and you can alter it as you go along. So this format has been working surprisingly well, because in the beginning I thought, like, is everybody going to hold a session? Like, aren't people just going to come and sit here and expect others to talk and just sit there and listen? But a lot of the participants are actually pretty proactive and have a lot of interesting projects and ideas to share. So it's always been a really fun and enlightening experience.
Using a little pun there.
Yeah.
But with
Glad you caught it.
So let's talk a little bit about the attendees at these Lightning Hack Days. Maybe tell us a bit about them and what is their background, what sort of technologies do they work with?
Okay, for now, I would say, since Lightning Network is in some sort of early beta stage, I personally think it's not fit for the mainstream market, the mass consumer market. And so we're trying to mostly focus on developers and on an already educated audience, which is heavy Bitcoin users, Bitcoin evangelists, maximalists, if you will. It's not necessarily limited to Bitcoin, but this is just where most of the Lightning development is happening right now. We also have the Litecoin community is also doing some work for the Lightning Network. So Lightning also works with Litecoin, for example. And I would say this is the second biggest community that's actually looking at the technology right now. So we are expecting an educated audience. It's developers that are doing Bitcoin development, Bitcoin core development, Lightning protocol development, but also people who are doing apps or what you nowadays call labs, short for Lightning apps or Lightning applications. There's been some debate around that term. Not everybody likes it, and it's not sure if we actually need a term, because it pretty much describes an app that has some sort of Lightning integration. But in order to provide this Lightning integration, there's people are coming to the Lightning Hack Day to maybe show what they've been working on. and also share their experience and maybe get some new input and try to improve their own Lightning implementation. You have to keep in mind this is really early days. We're building infrastructure right now. So most of the people that are building labs also more or less have to build their own standards, if you will. It's not everything comes out of the box right now. A lot of the projects that are using Lightning are still really pretty rough on the edges, and you have to do a lot of tinkering and also issue reporting if you want it to work. So it's not super developer friendly just yet.
Yeah, but at the same time, it can be really exciting. There's a lot of opportunity. I think the people who do well at this time will set themselves up for what we believe will be a very big industry in the years to come.
Yes, and I totally agree with that. That's why I would say if you want me to find one word for the people attending, I would say it's pioneers. We're gathering the Lightning pioneers at the frontier of Lightning.
Yeah, no, that's a good way to put it. So let's now talk about some of the projects that you have seen that have come out of the Lightning Hack Day, or yeah, maybe you want to talk about that Raspiblitz one that you were discussing earlier.
Yeah. So the word is Raspiblitz or Raspiblitz. It's based on Raspberry Pi. So Raspberry Pi and Blitz is the German word for lightning. It's a Raspberry Pi which has an LCD display, which was designed as a really fast and easy way to set up your own Bitcoin and Lightning Network full node. We want to enable people to kind of come to the Lightning Hack Day and instantly have a node. And this wasn't really possible before. You had to do you had to set up your own node, or you still have to if you start from scratch. And this still takes some time. You have to try out different implementations maybe, or still get used to the Lightning implementation. You have to synchronize the Bitcoin blockchain, and this all takes time. So the idea of the Raspiblitz is to provide a shortcut and make it as easy as currently possible to have a node set up and running in the least amount of time possible. So it's also an open source project based on a prior project by Staticus. And what you can do is pretty much just download it and put it on your Raspberry Pi, and it really helps you set up a node easily. And we also sell these for the Lightning Hack Days, just so you have sort of a plug and play full node, which you can then use to build labs with the use of your own Lightning node.
Yeah, and I hear they're very cheap to produce as well. I saw on your website it says that they're less than $150 US.
Yeah, around that. It depends on. So part of the Raspiblitz is that we provide a shopping list for different countries, and it's around it's less than $150 usually. It depends a little bit on the part prices, but you can actually just go on the Raspiblitz project on GitHub, look at the parts, go to Amazon and order the parts directly. You can, of course, switch out some parts if you want, but those are the parts that are tested and are working well together. And once you've ordered them, you just assemble them at home and put on the SD image, and you're pretty much ready to go. And it's pretty well documented by now, and the Raspiblitz community is also growing, so there's been some issues opened by the community and also some contributions. And yeah, I think it's coming along nicely. And right now, the next step would be, we've opened up the Raspiblitz also to Litecoin, which has been well received by the Litecoin community. And now we're just going to put it on different hardware to see how it works on, for example, the Odroid or the Raspberry Zero. Right now, it's based on the Raspberry 3. So it's still expanding, but it's pretty cool because you can actually run your own Lightning node with relatively little effort on a dedicated machine that doesn't really do much else. And
Yeah.
I personally think it's a great project for decentralization as well, to enable everybody to run their own full node and
Yeah,
tinker
that's a
with
great
it.
idea. So what level of, let's say, technicality or level of competence do you think someone would need to be able to, order the parts, construct it, and, you go through that procedure to, create their own Raspiblitz?
I think you would still need at least some willingness to tinker and be curious and learn. We're still using command line, so it doesn't have a graphical user interface. You should probably be at least comfortable using a terminal, and like enter some commands on your own. You should be comfortable putting together some hardware parts. So I guess if you're, for example, a gamer and you have been building your own PC and putting in some graphic cards yourself, that should be enough knowledge to be able to assemble the Raspberry Pi. And if you can follow instructions and you have an open mind and some basic technical knowledge, it shouldn't be a problem. But it's not a mom and pop device yet. It's not something you take and just plug in your network and it runs. It will require some work and will also, as I said, require some curiosity, because it will not always work. You will run into a problem sooner or later, and um, at least you need the willingness to tackle the problems, because there's a lot of people willing to help out and willing to fix the problem that you might encounter. But getting that help is also something you need to be able to, yeah, you need to be willing to get.
Sure, sure. You get out what you put into it, hey?
Exactly, yeah. But it's not a game where you can't just switch it on and it works. That's not the way it works right now. We hope to achieve that in the long run, and I think it looks like we will eventually get there, but not so far. I mean, if you put the focus a little away from just the Lightning Hector and the Raspiblitz, there is efforts, or at least promises, that we will sooner than maybe we expect see some devices that kind of have a running Lightning node on it. I don't know if you followed the news regarding the HTC Exodus. So
The what? Sorry.
the HTC Exodus. So it's a phone that's marketed as a blockchain phone by HTC, the phone company,
Oh,
and they said they were going to put a Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Bitcoin Lightning Network, as well as a Litecoin Lightning Network node on their phone. So there's definitely projects running, even publicly, that are trying to enable a consumer-facing Lightning interface or Bitcoin interface to put in the hand of a mass consumer. So we might be closer than some people think. But coming back to the Raspberry Pi, we are not quite there. It's going to take a little more, and the software has to be roughed out. But we're step by step getting there, and it's getting easier and friendlier, and more people will be able to firstly use Lightning Network and develop labs. And at some point, I personally think at some point you will not, as an end user, need to know that Lightning is running in the background. It will just become part of the Bitcoin standard in, for example, wallets or in your whatever Bitcoin infrastructure you're using.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. What other projects are there that you want to highlight that have come out of Lightning Hack Days or out of Fulmo?
We have. I could just try to highlight some of the projects that have been at the Lightning Hack Days, and that have been presenting there and kind of been reshaping and rethinking their ideas. A pretty interesting project I personally like is, I think it's called Donnerblitz, and it's a Unity plugin for Lightning, which enables, so Unity, it's this 3D engine, I believe. hope I'm not saying anything wrong here right now, but um, this plugin enables you to use Lightning in a 3D environment, for example, for games, which is pretty cool. I've seen a related demo where you can buy some virtual hats, for example, for 1 Satoshi via Lightning.
Yeah, very interesting.
This is kind of interesting. Let me think. What else did we have? We
Yeah, I
had
was having a look on your website. I saw a few. You've got Sweetbit and LN Plays.
right. So Ellen Place presented as well. That was one of the games where it was a concept site. I'm not sure if it's still up, but the idea was to play Pokemon online, but instead of just so it was an emulated Game Boy, I think, and whenever you wanted your main character to move, you would have to pay 1 Satoshi per movement. So you would press on button A, it would give you a Lightning invoice, and you could pay it, and then the character would move. So this was
Yep, so
sort
that's
of
just like Twitch plays Pokemon, hey?
yeah, kind of. And the Sweetbits there's a lot of names and abbreviations, so I hope I don't mix it up. But this should be the Bitcoin candy dispenser, as it's also called. That's a pretty cool project that has been showcased at the Lightning Hack Day, and that's been in permanent development by one of the participants. So it's pretty much an M&M dispenser that runs on Lightning. It's online even. You can go to Lightning Land. I don't have the link on the back of my head, but it does have a live stream, and you can pay a little invoice for 15 cents, and it will dispense some M&Ms and kind of feed the developer, which is kind of a fun idea. And so
like that.
people usually just go there and dump like 2 or 3 euros in Bitcoin via Lightning and empty out the machine, and it'll just usually show a picture in the live stream of a full plate of M&Ms and the M&Ms are just everywhere, and it's a total mess, and the machine is empty because people apparently use it.
Well, there you go. Okay, so I think the next area that I thought would be a good one to ask about is what do you see as the challenges lying ahead for the Lightning Network?
So I would say right now we are in the Lightning Network itself, and the basic idea is working, and people can use it, and people are using it every day. But it's not really. There's still some some hiccups, and a lot of improvements are being discussed. Most of them are geared towards better usability and more practical usability. And for example, one big name that's been floating around is Atomic Multipath. Now, wait. Yeah, AMPs, yes. Atomic Multipath. A propagation which is, instead of just using one channel, you split up a payment and route it through different. Oh no, I think it's atomic. Sorry, let me just quickly. I'm at lots
I think
of
it's
words here.
atomic multipath payment, and
Yeah.
my
Okay. Yes.
understanding is
Yes.
that you
Yes. Thank you.
yeah, and my understanding is that instead of simply using one route, you could split the payment up and send it across multiple routes. And the cool part is it's atomic, so it's not that part of the payment would go through and the other part would fail. It either all goes through or it all fails. So that's kind of gives you a bit more certainty.
Yes. So that's the idea. And right now, so it can route your payments over different routes and different nodes, and you don't just need one single path for the whole payment, but you can actually split it up, which is one thing I would say holding back the practicability of some payments, because you always need to have all nodes on the route to be sufficiently funded. Another thing that's in development is what's called splicing, which pretty much enables adding additional capacity to a payment channel. And I don't know if we actually said that, but going back a little bit, the Lightning Network is a network of payment channels. So the basic piece of the Lightning Network is a payment channel, and you just pretty much connect the different payment channels to each other and add some routing, and then you have the Lightning Network. Just to explain that a little bit. So with splicing, you can extend payment channels and just increase or decrease the amount it's able to hold and able to route without closing the payment channel. So let's say it makes it easier, or sort of a hybrid idea between on and off-chain payments. So if you for some reason need to get an on-chain payment, but you don't want to close your payment channel, you can just move some funds out of the payment channel without closing it. And vice versa, you can also increase your payment channel without closing it, but increasing the capacity. So that's splicing, and there's a couple of different proposals that just make it easier. I think interoperability is still not perfect. I mean, the main implementations are all designed to work with each other. So they are BOLT compliant according to the Lightning specifications. But there's still some hiccups that need to be solved, and some mechanisms that need to be improved in order to give the end user a better experience and to make payments even more reliable.
Yeah, that's true. And I think to be fair, that's true across many, many different aspects of Bitcoin. You know, it's Bitcoin infrastructure, Bitcoin's protocol, Lightning protocol, the nodes. You know, you've got the different types of wallets. You've got desktop wallets, mobile wallets. You know, there's hardware wallets, and then you have things like accounting software as well, and all of these other kind of bits and pieces that need to all work together to really make this a cohesive vision. I was having a look at some of the hack ideas that you got for the upcoming Lightning Hack Day, and you've got a few there actually. So I saw a few here. One was a mobile wallet for the Raspiblitz, bookkeeping integration, and an NFC and POS point of sale terminal.
Yes, so those are actually projects. I was talking about how, for example, the Raspiblitz is still terminal based. It could be, the idea is that you add sort of an app, a satellite app for your phone, so you can just you can really plug in the Raspiblitz locally and just sort of set it up using your phone. I think the idea right now is to use Shango wallet, which enables that, or some of the LLD projects. I'm not 100% sure which one it is right now, so I don't want to tell you something wrong. And for the NFC POS, there's actually a team coming. There's this newly founded startup. And again, there's so many different projects and names that I do not know the name right now. I would have to look it up. But they're actually working on enabling NFC payments through Lightning. So that's one project that's coming to the Hack Day. And which one was the third one? Or actually the second one you mentioned?
Bookkeeping integration.
Yes, I mean, that's always a big thing and an important thing. Bookkeeping integration, not only for Lightning, but for all crypto. It's apparently still a major hurdle for larger companies to properly integrate crypto payments into their existing systems and into the existing ERP software and their bookkeeping software. So I would say this is not necessarily even Lightning specific, but of course it should work for Lightning as well.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. And I think a lot of the challenge there is also obviously different accounting and taxation rules across different countries, right? So capital gains tax will apply differently. There's all these different complexities to think about with that. So we're kind of a long way off from some of those things. Right. But yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the upcoming Lightning Hack Day. So tell us, when is it on, and who are some of the speakers who are coming? I think you mentioned a few.
Yeah, so it's on September 1st in Berlin. And we also have a hackathon that's one day that starts a day early on August 31st. And if you come to the city early, we also have like a pre-gathering little event on August 30th. So we've pretty much secured or confirmed some of participants from each major or bold compliant Lightning implementation. So the speakers that are confirmed and who will also be mentoring the hackathon partially mentoring the hackathon, Christian Decker, Fabrice from Blockstream, Fabrice Strong from ACINQ, Jon Halsett from Lightning Labs, Kenichi Kuromoto from Nayuta. Then we have Giacomo Zucco, who was also quite well known as a controversial Bitcoin maximalist. He's pretty active on Twitter. And he, as the German saying goes, he doesn't take any prisoners, I would say, at least verbally. So I'm pretty excited to have him and see what he has to say and if he's going to be as ruthless as he sometimes presents himself on Twitter. We do have Lightning Peach, and Pavel Prikotko is going to speak. Lightning Peach is the Lightning company of the Bitfury group, so they are also looking into the Lightning Network and have been contributing some code as well. We have Jonas Nick from Blockstream, who's going to talk about Schnorr signatures and Taproot and how this can improve the privacy in Lightning Network. And then we also have some speakers like Stefan Richter and James Chang who are going to do some some workshops to introduce the Lightning Network to Lightning beginners. That doesn't mean it's not Bitcoin beginners. You should know your Bitcoin 101 before that. But if you're new to Lightning and you want to know what it's all about and how, let's say, HTLCs work and all that, then James and Stefan are going to teach that. It's actually a pretty cool concept because Stefan does this kind of street theater. So he's using real people to conceptualize transactions and signatures, and it's kind of fun. We've done it a couple of times already, and it's really fun to watch. And it's been pretty much fun for the attendees because it gets really interactive. And I think it's a different approach to understand Lightning, but it's also a good one to teach people about it. So yeah, those are sort of the official ones. And we have a bunch of other companies that have confirmed their attendance. And also, what might be important to say that the Lightning Hack Day is a community event. So even though I'm personally doing it full time right now, we're not making any money on that, and we are relying on sponsors. So for now, we've already secured 2 sponsors who are pretty much paying for everything, but also putting a lot of effort to make it become a reality, sending over their developers and also helping with marketing. So we have Exchange Union, who's been doing a really good job. And we also have Shift Crypto Security, who's doing the Bitbox hardware wallet. And they're also going to be there and bring a couple of Bitboxes. And so you can take them apart and see if you want to do something Lightning related with those. And as I mentioned earlier, most of the fun actually happens in the barcamp sessions. So even if people come for the speakers, which are really some of the best, some of the people that are actually defining Lightning right now, the barcamp sessions really hold a lot of surprises. And it's always kind of hard to teaser that because I don't know what's going to happen yet. We do not have those scheduled. We do not have any talks that are prepared and that are like getting signed off by me. But I just tell people, please come there. If you want to prepare something and just present it at the beginning of the day. And so it's kind of like a big bag of interesting surprises, if you will.
Yeah, no, that sounds really excellent. I think it's really a good thing you're doing here to help build Lightning applications and hardware devices because all of these things are going to be needed over the next 5, 10, 15 years. Yeah, so I think with that said, I think they're the key questions I had for you. Did you have any final comments that you wanted to make? I suppose if someone wants to come to the Lightning Hack Day, what should they do? Where should they come and find you?
If they want to come to the Lightning Hack Day, which would be a really good idea, otherwise you're going to miss a chance to meet so many great people working on the Lightning Network, just go to lightninghackday.fulmo.org. That's fulmo.org. And register. The idea of the Lightning Hack Day is that it's free, but we've kind of added a little real life spam filter to keep all the people out that just would come for the free pizza but not really contribute to the event. So we have like Lightning PayPal tickets for €5, which is more symbolic. And if you really can't afford that, you can also write me an email and I'll send you a voucher. So I'm not expecting people to pay, just to put in a little effort and like think about where they want to come and what they can contribute. But really, anybody's welcome, and we're really happy to welcome a lot of international guests. I would say at least 50% of our guests are flying in from a different country. So we're really happy to have this sort of global footprint already. And
yeah, that sounds excellent.
I always like to see Lightning as one of the next digital frontiers, and we're all working together in this as pioneers and fellow bolters, working on this rocket going up at an incredible speed and incredible speed of innovation. And it's just really cool to meet so many interesting and also diverse people that are working with the same goal in mind, and with this common goal and this focus and this also quality and dedication. It always just blows my mind, and this is really what keeps me going.
Yeah, that's excellent. I can really see that. You can really see the passion coming through in what you're saying and what you're doing. So, guys, my guest today is Jeff Gallas of Fulmo. You can find him on Twitter at Fulmo Lightning, and check out the Fulmo website, fulmo.org. Okay, excellent. So I'll put all the links in the show notes page. But yeah, thanks for coming on the show today, Jeff.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a great pleasure.
Okay, guys, that was my conversation with Jeff. You can find the show notes on my site, stefanlivera.com. Just search SLP14. And as usual, just give me a share on your social media. And lastly, just come and find me on Twitter at Stefan Livera. Thanks very much, guys, and I'll speak to you next time.